The Galactic Council had always been proud of its harmony. For 1,000 years, hundreds of alien races had gathered in peace beneath the same shining banners. Their great station, the Citadel of Varnus, floated around a bright white star and shimmered with silver towers. It was said to be the safest place in the galaxy, a home for unity. But that peace began to tremble the moment humanity accepted the invitation. Few in the Council had ever met a human. They only knew the name of the planet, Earth, labeled across records as a Class 12 death world. That meant everything on that planet, weather, animals, plants, even diseases, could easily kill a being from any other world. The idea that something intelligent could come from such a place was terrifying. Yet somehow humans had not only survived, they had reached the stars. When the message arrived from Earth, saying that 2 human representatives were on their way, rumors spread faster than light. Why invite them? Hissed a tall insectoid delegate named Vrixa. They come from a world of poison and storms. They will bring danger with them. They are unstable, said another, a feathered being from the planet Eltar. They destroy their own kind in wars. But the Council High Speaker, a calm and wise being named Toralin, silenced the room. The humans have earned their place. Their technology has reached the same level as ours. It is time they join us, or at least speak for themselves. Still, unease filled the chamber. No one truly wanted to meet the Deathworlders. 2 weeks later, the massive docking gates of the Citadel opened to welcome the human vessel UNSS Horizon. The ship was dark gray, simple but sturdy with burn marks that spoke of hard journeys. From its ramp walked 2 humans. The first was Captain Elias Ward, a tall man with short dark hair, eyes sharp and calm. The second was Dr. Lyra Chen, a scientist with kind eyes and a quiet strength in her steps. Both wore sleek black uniforms with the Earth insignia, blue and green woven into a silver circle. Hundreds of alien eyes turned toward them. Some hid behind others, whispering softly. Others stared with a strange mix of fear and curiosity. They look ordinary, someone murmured. Do they not have claws or scales? Another asked. Captain Elias stopped in front of the delegation and gave a small bow. On behalf of the people of Earth, he said in a steady voice, we thank the Galactic Council for inviting us. Even his tone made some of the aliens flinch. It was firm and confident, a voice that came from someone who had lived through storms and still stood tall. Dr. Lyra stepped beside him. We come in peace, she said softly. We only hope to learn, to share, and to understand. For a long moment, the hall was silent. Then, one by one, delegates began to clap with their tentacles, wings, and appendages. A polite but uneasy welcome. After the ceremony, Elias and Lyra were guided through the station by an escort team. The Citadel was enormous, a city of light and glass hanging among the stars. There were floating platforms, glowing corridors, and thousands of species walking side by side. Yet no matter where they went, the humans could feel the tension. Eyes followed them everywhere. Conversations stopped when they entered a room. Even the security drones hovered a little closer than usual. Inside their guest quarters, Lyra sighed. They're afraid of us, she said quietly, setting down her datapad. Elias looked out the window at the shining city beyond. Wouldn't you be? He replied. We're from a planet that kills most life in minutes. To them, we're nightmares that learn to wear clothes. Lyra gave a small smile. Maybe, but nightmares don't build spaceships, Elias chuckled. That's what worries them. The next day, the humans attended their first council meeting. The chamber was vast, shaped like a ring, with each species sitting in a glowing seat that hovered around the center. In the middle stood the High Speaker's platform. As Elias and Lyra entered, the chamber fell silent. Even the air felt heavy. High Speaker Toralin greeted them with a smile. Representatives of Earth, welcome to the Council of Worlds. We hope for friendship between our peoples, Elias bowed. The feeling is mutual. The discussion began. Trade routes, peace treaties, scientific sharing. But the humans barely spoke. They only listened. Every time Elias turned his head, nearby delegates froze, pretending to check their datapads. Lyra noticed that even the drink dispensers had been removed from their table, for safety reasons. When the High Speaker invited them to speak, Lyra stood. Honored council members, she began, her voice calm but strong. Our world is harsh, yes, but it also taught us resilience, creativity, and compassion. We learn to survive not by strength alone, but by helping one another. An alien delegate, a thin amphibian with silver eyes, interrupted nervously. Forgive me, Dr. Chen, but your species has destroyed entire ecosystems on your planet.
You fight wars against yourselves.
Why should we trust you not to do the same here? Lyra looked at him gently. Because we've learned from our mistakes. Survival taught us that life is precious even when it's fragile. We fight only when we must and never for pleasure. The alien lowered his head, unsure how to respond. Then a deeper voice echoed from across the hall. You call yourselves peaceful, said Vrixa, the insectoid. Yet your world is covered with predators. You are predators yourselves. The hall grew tense. Elias rose slowly to his feet. His expression remained calm, but there was steel in his voice. You're right, he said. We are predators. But we learned something from that too, how to protect. On our world, if you don't fight, you die. But the fight is not against others. It's against fear. Against the dark. Against extinction. We're still here because we refuse to give up. Silence filled the chamber. Even Vrixa said nothing more. The high speaker finally nodded. Your words are powerful, Captain Ward. The Council welcomes your honesty. The session ended soon after, but the fear didn't fade. Later that night, Elias and Lyra sat in their quarters again. The lights of the Citadel shimmered through the window like distant stars. They're scared of us, Lyra said again, her voice quiet. They should be, Elias replied. Then he smiled faintly. But not for the reason they think, Lyra raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? They think we're dangerous because we can kill. But the real danger, he said, looking out at the stars, is that we never stop trying to live. She smiled, understanding. And one day they'll see that. Maybe, Elias said. Or maybe they'll just keep watching from behind glass. They both laughed softly. Outside, a group of alien delegates watched their room from a distance, whispering among themselves. To them, the humans looked like quiet predators sitting in their den, waiting. But inside the room, Elias and Lyra were only two people far from home, trying to make a galaxy understand what it meant to come from Earth, a planet that forged kindness and courage through endless struggle. When morning came, the Council's official report spread across every world. The headline read, "The Deathworlders have arrived." Some celebrated, some panicked, and some began to prepare. Because no matter what side they chose, everyone in the galaxy now knew one truth. Humanity had entered the stars, and nothing would ever be the same again. The halls of the Galactic Council were no longer calm. Ever since the humans returned from the colony rescue mission, the Citadel had been alive with noise. Some species cheered their bravery. Others whispered in fear. The humans had done something no one else dared to do. They left before any official vote, flew through hostile space, and saved an entire colony of aliens they barely knew. To the small races who lived in fear of larger empires, the humans were heroes. To the powerful Tavar Dominion, they were a problem. High Commander Sirat Vorn sat in his dark chamber, his scaled hands clenched in anger. His tail swished behind him, slapping the floor with every breath. Around him stood several Tivar officers. Look at them, Vorn hissed, pointing at the hologram floating in front of him. It showed Captain Elias Ward stepping out of his ship surrounded by cheering colonists. The galaxy already forgets our fleets. Now they talk only of the Deathworlders. One of his advisors spoke carefully. Commander, perhaps we can— Silence. Vorn roared. They humiliate us without even trying, and the Council dares to call them heroes. Another officer, smaller and more cautious, said, Then perhaps we remind the galaxy what Deathworlders truly are. Dangerous, unstable, unfit for peace. Vorn turned slowly, his eyes gleaming. Yes, he said softly. If they are monsters, we must make the galaxy see it. While the Tivar plotted, Elias and Lyra were attending another council session. The chamber was unusually quiet that day. Many delegates looked at them with nervous respect. High Speaker Torlin opened the meeting. Representatives of Earth, the Council thanks you for your bravery. You saved thousands of lives. Elias stood and bowed slightly. We did what anyone should do, but the speaker shook his head. Not anyone, Captain. You went into unknown danger. You fought and won without backup. That kind of courage, it is rare. Before Elias could respond, a new voice interrupted. Yes, rare and dangerous. Everyone turned to see Commander Vorn entering the chamber, his armor gleaming with the symbol of the Tavar Dominion. The High Speaker frowned. Commander Vorn, this is a diplomatic meeting. Your presence is not scheduled. I come with a concern, Vorn said, stepping forward. His tone was smooth but sharp. These humans act without permission. They risked the Council's safety. They could have caused war. Elias met his eyes calmly. We saved civilians under attack. Do you think that was wrong? Vorn's tail flicked. I think you acted like Deathworlders, reckless and wild. The galaxy cannot trust such creatures. Lyra spoke softly. Commander, we did not harm anyone. We helped. Help? Vorn sneered. You bring chaos wherever you go. You destroyed drones on this station without warning. You use weapons no one understands. Even your food is toxic. Laughter broke out in the hall from some smaller delegates, but others looked uneasy. Elias didn't smile. He looked straight at Vorn and said, If you're so afraid of us, perhaps that says more about you than it does about us. The words hung in the air like thunder. Vorn glared at him, then turned and stormed out of the chamber. The meeting ended early, but everyone felt the tension. Something was coming. That night, Elias and Lyra sat in their quarters again. The lights of the Citadel shimmered outside, but the room felt darker than usual. Lyra looked at him. He's not going to stop, is he? Elias shook his head. No, the Tavar don't like losing control, and we're ruining their image of power. Then what do we do? Elias leaned back in his chair. We wait. When someone like Vorn makes a move, he always makes it loud. He was right. 2 nights later, the move came. The Citadel's lights flickered. The air system suddenly dropped pressure. Then alarms screamed through the corridors, power failure, oxygen leak, multiple deck fires. Within minutes, the safe and perfect Citadel of Varnus turned into a place of panic. Aliens rushed through the halls, gasping for breath. Emergency drones malfunctioned. Many species who could not survive in low oxygen began to collapse. In the chaos, only the humans remained calm. Lyra grabbed a portable oxygen tank and threw another to Elias. Deck 12's vent systems are failing, she shouted. Elias strapped the tank to his back. Get the medics to the atrium. Anyone who can't breathe, bring them there. But the doors, I'll handle the doors, Elias said and ran out. The corridors were filled with smoke and confusion. Most species had never faced real danger in their lives. They were born on calm, controlled worlds. But Elias was born on Earth, a planet that tested him every day. He moved through the smoke easily, guiding frightened delegates toward safety. When he reached the main control hub, he found 3 technicians from a gas-breathing species trying to repair the system. Their limbs shaking. It's overheating, one of them cried. Elias pushed past them, opened a panel and saw the problem. Someone had cut the main oxygen regulator. Sabotage. He reconnected the wires manually, sparks flying around his hands. The system roared back to life. Oxygen pressure began to rise. He tapped his communicator. Lyra, vents restored. Keep everyone calm. Lyra's voice came through, breathless but steady. Copy that. The atrium is full, but we're stabilizing them. Elias smiled faintly. Good. Tell them the Deathworlders say it's over. When the lights returned and the alarm stopped, the Citadel was silent again. Hundreds of lives had been saved, but only because the humans acted fast. The next morning, the High Speaker gathered everyone in the Grand Chamber. The recording of the incident played across the giant screens. It showed Elias pulling aliens to safety, fixing systems with his bare hands, and Lyra organizing medical teams. When the video ended, Toralin spoke. Without the humans, the Citadel would have lost half its inhabitants. Their actions speak louder than any rumor. The chamber filled with murmurs of awe and disbelief. Vrixa, the insectoid delegate who once called them predators, raised a trembling hand. They saved my staff, she said quietly. One of them carried my assistant through the smoke. Another alien nodded. Mine too. But Commander Vorn was silent. His plan had failed. He had ordered the sabotage to create panic, to show that humans brought danger. Instead, they had become heroes again. Later that day, Elias and Lyra stood by the observation window watching the stars. Lyra said softly, They know it was the Tavar, don't they? Elias nodded. They'll find proof soon enough. But we don't need revenge. We already won, she smiled. Because we saved them? He looked at her. Because they saw who we really are. In the Tavar quarters, Commander Vorn smashed his desk with a roar. His officers stood in silence, afraid to speak. "They make me look weak," he shouted. "They saved the station I tried to break. Now they're the heroes." One officer whispered, Perhaps we should leave them be." Vorn turned slowly, his voice cold as ice. "No, the galaxy will never respect us again unless we show what humans truly are. If fear won't stop them, maybe war will." Back in the human quarters, Lyra looked at the report streaming in. Messages of gratitude filled her screen. Thousands of alien voices thanking Earth. Elias stood by the window thinking. Lyra finally asked, "What are you thinking about?" He smiled slightly. "Back home, we always thought we were alone in the universe. Now we know we're not. But it's funny, what is? They're afraid of us because we survived our world. But maybe we were made strong for this, to help them survive theirs." Lyra nodded slowly. "Maybe that's why the galaxy needed humans." Outside the window, the stars shimmered like scattered fire across the dark. Somewhere among them, the Tavar Dominion began preparing its next move. And deep inside the Citadel, whispers of the Deathworlders began to change tone. From fear to respect. The Citadel of Varnus had never been so tense. Ever since the sabotage incident, the Council's great halls were divided. Half of the delegates whispered words of praise for the humans. The other half muttered warnings, arguing that humanity was too unpredictable to trust. Captain Elias Ward and Dr. Lyra Chen moved carefully through the corridors. Every step they took was watched by dozens of alien eyes. Some stared in awe, others in fear, and a few with open suspicion. "We should not be here," Lyra said quietly as they walked. "It feels like they're waiting for us to make a mistake." Elias shook his head. "No," he said. "They're waiting to see what humans really are, not what they think we are." Lyra glanced at him. "And what do you think they'll see?" Elias gave a small smile. "The truth." The next council session opened with a heated debate. The topic was simple. Should humanity be welcomed fully into the council or monitored under strict supervision? The Tavar Dominion led the opposition. Commander Sirit Vorn stood tall at the podium, his voice strong and commanding. "These humans act recklessly," he said. "They disobey our warnings, interfere in other species' affairs, and destroy our equipment. Can we truly trust them? Are we asking for disaster?" Murmurs of agreement spread through a few wings and tails across the chamber. But not everyone agreed. A soft, glowing diplomat from the world of Maria spoke up. "Commander Vorn, they saved lives. Lives that could have been lost if not for them. Can you deny their courage?" Another delegate, a four-armed being from the planet Corin, added, "Humans may be from a harsh world, but they have shown bravery and wisdom. They deserve respect." Vorn's 6 eyes narrowed. "Bravery does not replace control. We cannot let them act without limits." Elias and Lyra remained seated, observing the debate quietly. They had learned early on that arguing with politicians rarely worked. But this was different. When the debate became personal, Vorn sneered. "Their very biology makes them unpredictable. Every creature on Earth is a predator. Every step they take is a risk. The galaxy cannot gamble on such creatures." Elias stood slowly. The chamber fell silent immediately. His presence alone seemed to command attention. "Commander Vorn," he said calmly, "you speak of risk. But every species here takes risks. You live in fear of what you cannot control. We live in fear of what we must survive. There is a difference." Some delegates blinked in surprise. Others shifted uncomfortably. Vorn's tail lashed the floor. Lyra stood next to Elias. Her voice was steady and clear. "We did not come here to fight. We came to help. To show that survival does not make a species cruel. It makes us careful. It makes us resilient, and it teaches us to protect others." A murmur ran through the chamber. Even Vorn hesitated, realizing that the humans had turned the argument back on him. The tension did not end there. That night, a small explosion rocked the lower levels of the Citadel. Smoke filled the corridors. Emergency alarms screamed again, aliens panicked. Some froze in fear. Others ran blindly, unsure where to go. But the humans were ready. Lyra grabbed portable oxygen masks and handed them to delegates who could not breathe properly. Elias sprinted ahead, guiding terrified species to safety. When they reached the source of the problem, they found the lower power nodes had been tampered with. This was no accident. This was sabotage. Elias assessed the damage quickly. We need to shut down this sector, vent the smoke, and restart the power. Follow me. Delegates who had doubted them now followed without hesitation. Under Elias's leadership, the evacuation moved faster than anyone expected. After hours of work, the citadel stabilized again. The delegates who had panicked now looked at the humans with awe. Vrixa, the insectoid who had once whispered that humans were predators, said quietly, "They saved my people again." A small Maria diplomat added, and without hesitation, without fear, "They are extraordinary." Lyra looked at Elias and whispered, "Do you think they'll finally respect us?" Elias didn't answer immediately. He simply looked around the hall, watching alien delegates help each other, inspired by human courage. "They already do," he said finally. "Some just don't know it yet." The next council session began with a formal vote. The question was simple. Should humanity be given full membership in the council? The first votes came in slowly. Smaller races voted quickly, impressed by human bravery. Many of them had been rescued by human ships or had relatives saved by Earth's aid. But the Tavar Dominion and its allies voted against, claiming that humans were too dangerous to be trusted. The chamber erupted into arguments. Vorn's voice boomed across the hall. "Do you really want to risk the safety of your species on creatures who come from a death world? Who live in constant danger and can kill or die in moments?" Lyra stood and raised her voice. "Do you not see? That is what makes humans strong. We survive not by harming others, but by protecting those weaker than us. We risk our lives because we value life itself. That is not danger, it is courage." Silence fell again. Some delegates began to nod, others lowered their heads. Even the Tivar officers were unsettled by the calm confidence in her voice. Elias added quietly, "We do not wish to dominate. We do not wish to control. We only wish to help. If you judge us by fear, you will always misunderstand who we are." The hall remained silent for several long moments. Then slowly votes began to shift in humanity's favor. Meanwhile, the Tavar Dominion grew desperate. They began whispering of secret fleets and hidden weapons, hoping to intimidate the council into rejecting humanity. But Elias and Lyra were ready. They had already prepared evidence showing human ships helping colonies, human scientists curing diseases, and human engineers repairing alien worlds. When the Tivar tried to accuse humanity of being a threat, Elias calmly presented the facts. Hundreds of lives saved, dozens of disasters prevented, and zero deliberate harm done. The evidence spoke louder than words. The smaller races cheered quietly, and even some of the larger races began to reconsider their votes. Vorn's face twisted in anger. "This is not over," he hissed. "They may fool the council today, but the galaxy will remember their recklessness." Elias only smiled faintly. "Then let them remember the truth. Fear is not the same as reality." By the end of the session, the vote was nearly unanimous. Humanity was welcomed as a full member of the council. Some delegates stood, applauding. Others looked shocked. The Tavar Dominion sat in silence, their plan having failed. High Speaker Torlin spoke last. "Humanity has proven that strength does not come from fear or power alone. It comes from courage, compassion, and the will to survive. The Council welcomes Earth as a full member." Elias and Lyra bowed respectfully. Even now, the weight of the moment did not escape them. After the session, a small alien child approached Elias. His green eyes were wide with curiosity. "Are you really from the Death World?" the child asked softly. Elias knelt to meet his gaze. "Yes, but you don't need to fear us. We fight the darkness so you don't have to." The child nodded slowly, understanding more than the words could say. Lyra smiled. "They'll remember this day," she whispered. "Not because of power, but because humans acted when it mattered." Elias looked out over the citadel, watching delegates share food, help one another, and whisper stories of human courage. "And one day," he said softly, "the galaxy will know that the Deathworlders are not monsters. We are protectors." Outside, the stars shimmered like scattered jewels. Somewhere among them, the Tavar Dominion began plotting again, but the galaxy had already seen what humans were capable of, and that was enough, for now. The citadel of Varnus was calm that morning, but an undercurrent of tension ran through its glowing halls. Ever since humanity had been granted full membership, some of the larger empires led by the Tivar Dominion were quietly plotting. Commander Sirat Vorn sat in the shadows of his quarters staring at a hollow map of the Citadel. If words and politics cannot stop them, then perhaps the galaxy will see what Deathworlders truly are when faced with real danger, he hissed. Several officers nodded. The humans have disrupted the Council's order. They must be reminded of their place. Vorn's eyes gleamed with cold calculation. Then we shall give them a test, one they cannot survive. Let the galaxy witness it. That very day, alarms echoed through the Citadel. A fleet of Tivar ships appeared in the outer docking zones, their weapons glowing a threatening red. It was clear that they were not here for diplomacy. Elias and Lyra were in the Grand Chamber when the alert sounded. The Council erupted into chaos. "What is happening?" shouted a small four-armed delegate from Corin. The High Speaker's calm voice rang out. "It appears the Tivar Dominion is testing the Council. And humanity." Vorn's voice came over the channel, smooth and commanding. "Council delegates, I present a challenge. If humanity cannot defend this station, it proves they are dangerous and unfit for membership. Prepare to witness the Deathworlders fail." Lyra clenched her fists. "So they've finally lost their patience," Elias nodded. "Then it's time to show them why Earth survives." The humans moved quickly. Elias took command of the Citadel's defense systems, while Lyra organized medical teams and coordinated civilians. The Tivar ships opened fire, energy beams cutting across the docking bays. Aliens scattered in panic. The Citadel shuddered under the impact, but Elias remained calm. "Focus on the shields first. Divert all power to defensive arrays. Lyra, the injured are your priority. Keep them safe," Lyra called back. "Already on it." "But the aliens are scared. Many don't know how to respond." Elias grinned faintly. "Then we'll teach them. Fear can be stronger than any weapon, if you know how to control it." Elias coordinated the station's defense like a master tactician. He redirected energy from the outer rings, reinforced the shields, and used the Citadel's automated drones to intercept Tivar projectiles. Meanwhile, Lyra ran from corridor to corridor, carrying wounded delegates and calming terrified species. She treated burns, sealed small breaches, and even used human engineering tools to stabilize unstable sections. Delegates who had once whispered fearfully about the humans now followed them, inspired by their courage. They learned quickly, guided by example. The Tivar fleet was strong, but they had underestimated the humans' resolve. Hours passed. The Tivar realized their attacks were failing. Every ship they destroyed or damaged was quickly repaired by the Citadel systems, reinforced by human ingenuity. Elias turned to Lyra. "We've held them off, but we need a counterattack. They think this is a test. Let's show them it's a lesson." Lyra nodded. "I've prepared a plan. It's risky, but it could disable their fleet without harming the station." Elias smiled. "That's our style." The humans activated a series of magnetic pulses, carefully tuned to disable Tivar weapons. Within minutes, several enemy ships were powerless, floating harmlessly in space. Vorn's voice came over the channel, angry and strained. "Impossible. How can mere humans control my fleet?" Elias spoke calmly, his voice carrying across the channel. "Not control, strategy, observation, courage. You underestimate us because you only see danger. We see opportunity." Seeing the Tivar ships crippled, many council delegates cheered quietly. The small races were inspired. Even some of the larger empires nodded with respect. But Vorn was not defeated. He ordered his remaining ships to target the civilian zones of the Citadel, hoping to force the humans into a mistake. Elias's eyes narrowed. "They're hoping fear will make us act recklessly. It won't." He gave precise instructions to the defense systems, creating safe corridors for evacuation while intercepting every shot. Lyra coordinated the medics, ensuring no life was lost. Slowly, methodically, the Tivar fleet was neutralized without a single civilian casualty. After hours of battle, the Tivar Dominion finally retreated. Their fleet limped back into hyperspace, beaten but not destroyed. The council erupted in applause. Delegates crowded around the humans, asking questions, expressing gratitude, and offering their respect. Elias stood quietly, looking around. "This is not about us," he said softly to Lyra. "This is about what the galaxy can become when fear is not stronger than courage." Lyra smiled, and they learned that lesson well. Even Vrixa, the insectoid delegate who once called them predators, nodded solemnly. Earth's representatives, They are not like anything I have ever seen. The High Speaker addressed the chamber once more. Today, humanity has proven something extraordinary. They faced a fleet meant to test and intimidate them, yet they protected every life in the station. They acted with courage, intelligence, and compassion. A murmur of agreement swept through the delegates. Even the Tavar were silent, their defeat undeniable. From this day forward, the High Speaker continued, Earth is not only a member of the Council, but an example to all species. Courage is stronger than fear. Strength is measured by protection, not by destruction. Elias and Lyra bowed respectfully. For the first time, the fear in the room was gone. In its place was admiration, pure and clear. Later, as the Citadel returned to normal, delegates visited the humans to offer thanks. Small gifts, messages of gratitude, and personal thanks flowed from every corner of the station. A young alien child from Corin approached Elias, holding a small crystal. You saved my home, the child said simply. Elias knelt, accepting the gift. We only did what anyone should do. Protect life wherever we can. Lyra knelt beside him. And never forget, she said to the child. Even in fear, courage can light the way. The child smiled and ran off, carrying the lesson with him. In the Tavar quarters, Commander Vorn paced angrily. His fleet had been beaten, his influence diminished. We underestimated them, he muttered. They are not monsters, nor are they reckless. They are something else entirely, something we cannot predict. One officer dared to speak. Commander, perhaps it is time to reconsider our approach. Vorn shook his head. No, we will survive. But the galaxy now knows this truth. Humans are not to be feared, only respected, and carefully watched. Even in defeat, the Tavar acknowledged the humans' unmatched strength, not just in power, but in courage, intellect, and heart. As the Citadel settled into quiet once more, Elias and Lyra stood together, looking at the stars through the observation window. Lyra said softly, Do you think they will ever truly understand us? Elias smiled faintly. Some already do. Others will learn. One day the galaxy will remember Earth, not for war, not for destruction, but for courage, for hope, and for life itself. Lyra nodded. And maybe then, they'll stop fearing the Deathworlders. Elias's eyes scanned the stars thoughtful. Fear is natural. But courage can change the universe. Outside, the stars shimmered like scattered jewels, each one a silent witness to humanity's triumph. The galaxy had learned a lesson that day. Humans were not just survivors. They were protectors, heroes, and a force that could inspire even the most fearful and powerful civilizations. And for the first time, the phrase Deathworlders was no longer whispered in fear. It was spoken with respect, admiration, and even hope. The morning began like any other on the Mars colony of New Horizon. The red sand stretched endlessly, and sunlight bounced off the silver domes of human settlements. Children were playing inside the habitat rings, chasing each other between hydroponic farms, their laughter echoing through the corridors. It was peaceful, calm, and safe, or at least that's what everyone believed. At exactly 09:14, the calm broke. An alarm screamed through the colony halls. Red lights flashed. The colony network announced a security alert. Section Delta breached. 6 juveniles unaccounted for. Commander Alara Hayes was in the command center when the alert came in. She froze for a moment, then slammed her hand on the console. Show me the surveillance feed, she ordered. The main screen flickered to life, showing footage of a classroom. 6 children had been studying geology. Then, in the blink of an eye, a white-blue light filled the room. When it faded, the children were gone. No sound, no resistance, no trace. Teleportation? One officer muttered. Unknown energy signature, replied the AI assistant. Non-human technology detected. Ilara's jaw tightened. Seal all ports. Lock down the perimeter. I want every satellite scanning the surrounding orbit. Yes, Commander. Her mind raced. Mars was heavily protected. No one could just appear and vanish without clearance. And taking children, human children, was an act that no alien species had dared in over a century. The Galactic Council had strict laws about it. But someone had just broken those laws. Within 10 minutes, the colony's defense satellites picked up an anomaly. A small, fast-moving vessel was leaving Mars orbit, cloaked but not invisible to human tracking technology. The engines emitted faint energy waves, similar to those used by Vulcan traders, a distant alien race known for their secrecy and shady markets. Alara's heart burned with anger. They took our children. Prepare the interceptor ships. Hundreds of millions of kilometers away, deep in the Velkin trade ring, a massive alien space station floated near a dying star. Its corridors were filled with hundreds of species, traders, smugglers, and mercenaries. Among them walked Terran, a tall, pale blue alien with 4 bright eyes and a cloak that shimmered like smoke. Terran worked as a security officer on the trade station. He wasn't powerful, but he was observant. He had learned long ago that survival meant keeping quiet and knowing when to walk away. That day he stopped outside a docking bay after hearing loud laughter and clinking crates. A group of rough-looking aliens were bragging, tossing bottles of glowing drink. "Guess what we caught on Mars?" one of them shouted. "Little humans. 6 of them. Pure profit." The group burst into laughter. One of them said, "They're so small. Not even dangerous. We can sell them for study and/or entertainment." Terran's blood ran cold. The bottle slipped from his hands and shattered on the floor. "Humans," he whispered. One of the traders noticed him. "What's wrong, Velkin?" "Don't tell me you care." Terran didn't answer. He stepped back, his mind screaming in disbelief. He knew the stories, everyone in the galaxy did. Humans were Deathworlders, born from a planet full of storms, predators, and harsh nature. They survived everything. And worse, they never forgot. No one harmed their young and lived to tell about it. He ran toward the security office, his long legs moving fast. The other guards watched him, confused. He burst through the command doors and shouted, "Who authorized the arrival of a ship carrying human children?" The station chief, a broad reptilian creature named Garnath, looked up with annoyance. "Terran, calm down." "It's just cargo." "It's not cargo," Terran shouted. "Those are human juveniles. You don't understand what you've done." Garnath's tail flicked lazily. "I understand that someone paid us for docking permission, and they're selling rare goods. That's all I need to know." Terran grabbed the table. "If humans find out, let them." Garnath interrupted. "They're weak. They only have a few colonies. Their ships are small." Terran stepped back, horrified. "You fool," he whispered. "You don't know what you've brought here." Back on Mars, Commander Alara stood on the bridge of the HSS Resolute, her ship preparing for launch. The hum of the engines vibrated through the deck. The stolen energy trail led toward Velkin space. A communication officer reported, "Commander, long-range sensors confirm the kidnapper's route. Estimated arrival in the Velkin ring." "Good," Alara said quietly. Her eyes hardened. "Then we're going there too." Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Armin, hesitated. "Commander, if we enter their territory without permission, the Council will protest." Alara turned slowly to face him. "They took our children, Lieutenant." "Let the Council protest all they want. They can explain to Earth why we waited." He said nothing more. Within an hour, a small human strike group launched from Mars. 3 warships and 2 stealth scouts slipped into the dark between stars, their hulls painted black and gray. Their engines glowed faintly blue. Their mission was simple: retrieve the children. No matter the cost. Back at the Velkin station, Terran couldn't rest. He kept imagining what would happen when humans arrived. He had seen the vids, the destruction of the Kalar outpost when pirates once tried to raid a human supply ship. In just 6 hours, humans wiped out an entire fleet. They didn't threaten. They didn't talk. They acted. Terran decided to do something dangerous. He would help the humans. He found a quiet corner in the communication chamber, bypassed the station's security grid, and sent a short encrypted message across space. It was simple and desperate. "Your children are alive, but in danger. Velkin ring. Hurry, before it's too late." He sent it to the last known human diplomatic channel and hoped someone would read it. Then he turned off the terminal and leaned back, trembling. "Spirits help me," he whispered. "I just signed my own death order." On the human ship Resolute, the bridge lights blinked. The communication officer looked up. "Commander, we've received a coded transmission, origin unknown." "Play it," Alara ordered. The message appeared on screen. The alien voice trembled as it spoke the words. When it ended, silence filled the bridge. Alara looked at the star map. "Set course for the Velkin ring, full speed." The engines roared to life. The fleet cut through space like shadows. Meanwhile, on the Velkin station, the captured children sat inside a locked cargo room. The walls were gray and cold, but they huddled together, whispering. One boy, Leo, kept tapping his small wristband, a distress beacon designed for emergencies. It blinked faintly. It was old, but still working. Do you think they'll find us? A girl asked softly. Leo smiled weakly. They will. My mom says humans never stop looking for their kids. From outside, Terran listened through the wall. His heart sank when he heard the small voices. He couldn't imagine anyone daring to harm them. He looked up at the ceiling, whispering to himself, if I don't do something, this station will burn. Hours passed. The Velkin governor finally arrived at the trade ring. A proud and arrogant alien, he wore golden armor and walked with confidence. He had heard about the captured humans and wanted to see them for himself. When he entered the control room, Terran stood quietly in the corner. Show me the creatures, the governor said. They're children, Terran muttered. The governor ignored him. Do they look dangerous? No, one guard said, laughing. They're just small things, fragile. Terran stepped forward. His voice shook, but he spoke firmly. You must let them go. If humans find out, they will come. The governor turned slowly toward him. You speak as if they are gods. Terran met his eyes. Not gods, survivors, the governor smirked. Then let them try. Far across the stars, the Resolute fleet exited hyperspace near the Velkin ring. The stars glowed red from the dying sun. The massive alien station hung ahead like a floating city. Commander Alara stood at the window, her voice steady and cold. Contact all ships. We've found them. Her words echoed through the fleet. For the first time in galactic history, humans were coming for what was theirs. And they weren't asking.